So you wrote a piece, a blog post, just a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
On hallucinogenics.
Yes.
Psychedelics.
Yes.
And you have extensive experience with these drugs.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, but yeah, enough. I don't know if extensive is the right word, but yeah.
Yeah, you're drug addict.
It's all relative, yeah.
So, first of all, well, let's talk about like how long you've been doing drugs, what kinds, and your general
That's fair,
experience.
yeah. And in fact, I wrote that because...
Your drug biography, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, I started by smoking pot in, I don't know, 8th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. I just took to it, right? I mean, it was good. But I also knew how to use it. I've always been a good drug taker like that. Like, I was never the sloth sitting there ripping and bong hits in the morning. I mean, I've done all that, but that wasn't never my thing. And I always found pot, so I still think pot is in a way the prince of drugs.
Really?
The prince of psychedelics.
I thought you were a little bit down on pot.
No, I love pot. It's just a challenge, and this is what I love about it.
Okay.
You
That's
know,
right,
and pot is just great at revealing, I think, a lot of the micromechanics of the social. I can see how I'm acting in a relationship. I can see relationships over time.
For me, that came off, at first, was paranoia and hyper self-consciousness, which I hated.
Yes.
That's why I stopped smoking it for 30 years, and then I got back into it just a couple of years ago, and now I see what you're saying, right? It's now that I've gotten, I think, unfortunately, because it's been destigmatized, because it's now legalized, I'm sorry to say the state got into my head, but I do think that's why I no longer get that paranoid when I get high.
That's interesting.
I know. It's fucking the state, man.
That's funny, because that actually kind of bummed me out. You know, I did not vote for...
You voted, you bastard.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, we'll get to that.
I did vote for the first time, but I would not have voted for the legalization. I knew the state getting involved with my pot was a problem, because it was de facto legal. I've never tried to get pot.
Prop 17 in the state. I voted against it too, because I could read it, and it said, we will give the industry to the corporations we select, and no one else will be allowed in. It almost says that explicitly.
It seems so
it's like a
obvious,
2-paragraph resolution. I was like, you're kidding me. It's so plain. So I voted against it.
Yeah, it seemed obvious.
All right, so
but then I discovered I did LSD my junior year in high school, and fuck, it was something, man. It was fucking something. And and then I get to college, and I had a pretty steady diet of LSD and mushrooms. And then there were some other drugs that were not that interesting, like crack cocaine, which was big in the 80s in Philadelphia. It was very easy to get, but it was so uninteresting. It was fun, but it wasn't interesting. And then I got to a point with psychedelics that I was like, I felt like I was done. Right? I remember my second to last trip. I was at a Dead show in Philadelphia. It was summer. I'm hot. I'm outside, and I'm on the floor, which I never went. I'm agoraphobic and misanthropic. I'm never down on the ground. It's a big outside stadium. I'm down on the floor, and I'm like, this is so delicious and so grotesque and boring.
Wait, you hate the outdoors and people?
Yeah. So there I am, like on the floor at the show in Philly, and I just remember just shooting up through the sky, being like, I am done. I know things. I don't need the drug. And then I had one more trip after that. At that period, that was just epic on the ocean, and I felt like I'd reached a point where I understood what I needed to understand, which was a certain flow. I mean, what I see now is what psychedelics, unlike pot, I think with weed, the parody is people think about big issues on weed. But that's not what weed is good at. Weed is really, hence the paranoia, it's really local. The horizon point.
Yeah. It's about, for me, it's about myself.
Yeah, it's not that far
I become inward looking.
Exactly.
In often a good way, useful. It's not like, I don't think how wonderful I am, like when I'm drunk, right? It's off, right?
Yeah.
Or when I'm doing coke.
Yeah.
It's just becomes this self-examination.
Yes.
That can be good or bad.
Yes.
But there's a lot of self-examining that goes on, at least for me when I'm high.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Cool. But the horizon does not go, again, the stoner is supposed to be sitting there wondering about the cosmos, but to me, that's not really what happens. I can read the TV show really well. I can see all the mechanics of how the movie was put together. Okay. With the psychedelics I've been interested in, sort of LSD, mushrooms, and I'm going to say MDA, MDMA. I know people don't consider that psychedelic, but I do. And they all, in different ways, do different things. I don't think psychedelics are about different paths to the same place.
Okay.
I think they all are different things.
And
different
DMT, you've done DMT too.
And then DMT, which is sort of a different beast.
Yeah.
But I'll include DMT in there and say what they do is they just shift your horizon point, right? So that, and this is something I've been sort of obsessed with over the years, is just depending on what your focal point is, what your horizon point is, your whole sense of propriety, your whole sense of life changes, right? So if you're looking out and you see this buildings and you see men and women and you're like, I want a job and I need a date, and that's your horizon point. And we all know people like that. That's where the horizon begins and ends, right? Or that's at least a parody. I don't know people like that, but I assume there are people like that who really care about their job and care about their dating.
They're out there, I promise you.
Yeah. And so the horizon is just a super limited point. I get it.
Right.
That's what they think their world is.
Right.
And so of course. But then you can shift up to the sky and you can keep going, right? To the solar system, to the cosmos, to all time, always, and all time and space. And what I've found those drugs to do is shift it, they dramatically shift my horizon point. So I don't do self-examination because self-examination is absurd. It becomes this egotistical thing, right? It kind of unplugs me from my self-examination and just says, shh, none of that matters. You don't have to think about all that. Whether she likes me or doesn't like me, or I don't have enough money to make my rent.
Really?
It's okay. There's the ocean. There's a cosmic becoming that you're just flowing through. You are matter, continuous with great cosmic becoming. I am, what's the great Joni Mitchell song, we are gold dust. We are 3 million-year-old carbon. And that's, to me, what, at the most sort of general level, the psychedelic experience has done for me is just displacing ego as a central point.
Ego is the issue here.
Yeah.
Is the problem.
It's not a problem, but yeah, I think ego leads to anxiety,
and psychedelics is the solution or a solution.
So, yes.
No shit.
I think so.
I mean, because ego, the way you describe it here, has been identified by many other kinds of people as a problem, right?
Yeah.
Blocking us from doing various things,
Yes.
right? But psychedelic drugs not often prescribed as the solution.
I think they rupture and they just shift your point of horizon. To me, it doesn't need to be some big mystical thing. And that's what I was writing about in that blog post, is that psychedelics for me are not, you could couch it in mystical language, but to me it's a kind of radical empiricism. You're participating in, or can literally see and participate in things that are happening right around you that are generally just not considered.
Yeah. Well, it's also, you're making an epistemological claim too in that piece, right?
Completely.
Which is really, I think, the main argument in there, isn't it? And that's
Yes.
the most radical part, which is, you say, right, the hallucinations are not just hallucinations. They're not just made up. They are really happening.
Yes. Yeah, there's something so interesting to me. Just completely nonsensical about hallucination is seeing what's not there.
Yeah.
How do you even parse that sentence? It doesn't make any sense.
Because you are seeing it.
It's there, and it might not be there materially, it might not be there quantifiably, but it's there qualitatively.
But neither is an idea.
Exactly.
Right? Have ideas changed the world? Of course.
Exactly. And so you're seeing things that are there that you just don't. Secretly, that piece was a rant, which has been an ongoing rant of mine against science, which our scientific method.
So you want to classify it as a phenomenon?
Yes.
What you see in a hallucination?
Exactly.
You want to classify it, I've said.
Exactly.
So within phenomenology, it would be something that could be studied.
Exactly.
It should be studied.
It should be studied and part of knowledge. And
Right.
what's so interesting to me is the way science and religion somehow dupe us into thinking they're opposed.
Boom.
Where they're 100% going after the same thing. They all have a disdain for the body. They all go for an abstract truth. They all ignore the unbelievable wealth and breadth of data and information that's around us all the time that is fundamentally ecological, qualitative,
affective,
right? That can't be, we always assume
social.
that affect is subjective, but it's not. It's perspectival, but it's not subjective.